Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be turning in 320 Abyssal Essence, so you can see if I go to my stash here that I actually saved 316 and I have another 10 here. So this in total is going to give me 32 turn-ins, which will give me 32 runes because each turn-in requires 10 Abyssal Essence, the NPC. So it's guaranteed to give you at least one rune per turn-in. And that rune can be grey, can be blue, can be a yellow rune, or can be a legendary rune. But I've heard that getting a legendary rune is virtually impossible from these turn-ins, so I'm going to check and see how my data kind of compares. And there's also been a few Reddit posts which are very interesting, which I'm going to be discussing in this video. And there's been a player who's actually kind of compiled the data for 2,000 Abyssal Essences. So that's going to be really interesting to compare to my data. But the other thing is that I've actually also not started with any of my codex for this week. So one thing which a few people were telling me about my last video is that you can actually get codex points from turning in your Abyssal Essence. So if I scroll down all the way down to the bottom here, you've got this Abyssal Essence task, and this does actually give you 40 battle points per turn in. So if my maths is correct and I turn this task in 32 times, I should be able to get 1,280 battle points. Right now I'm sitting at 0, so I'm going to be checking to see if this is the case, and that's how it works. The other thing is that I haven't farmed a single rune for this week. These are all runes from previous weeks, so it's going to be interesting to see what the limit for bound and unbound runes is, because I heard that unbound runes basically has a weekly limit of 30, but I haven't confirmed that myself, so I just wanted to confirm that in this video. If it is in fact 30, then I should get 30 unbound runes from this, and also 2 bound runes, so it will be interesting to see. So let's go ahead and get started. Right now I'm in the Warband Castle, but if I leave, this will give me the fastest access to my stash because I should be right in front of Rayek. And I will be speeding this footage up a bit just so you guys don't get bored, but I will be presenting the data at the end. So here we go, let's just get started with the first turn in. So there we go. And as you can see, I did in fact get some battle points. So you'll be able to see here, I did in fact get 40 BP, and this has counted towards my weekly BP. And also I did get a single rune. I think it was an AUD rune. It's this one here, which is unbound. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue doing this for the next 31 turn-ins. So one thing to note is that you can no longer deposit your Abyssal Essence into the stash and just store them forever. So I believe that this was changed with the patch that we had last week. And they obviously didn't want us to keep stacking this and saving it and just turning it all in when they release a new batch of runes. So I can kind of understand why. But still, this is pretty annoying because you could do it before. And I wish that they just kept this functionality. So now what I have to do is just keep withdrawing 10 at a time and turning them in at Rayek, which is what I'm going to continue doing here. So I'm just going to speed up this part of the video. Like I said, if you don't want to watch the individual turn-ins and each of the runes, then you can skip ahead to about 4 minutes and 14 seconds and I'll be going through the overall results. But I've kept this part in the video just because I know some people like to see each of the individual turn-ins and see the loot that I actually got. As you'll see with the turn-ins, I didn't really get that much good luck. I didn't get that many blue, yellow, or legendary runes. I did get a fair few of the legendary items, but we're not really farming legendary items here. The whole point of these 2 new modes is to try to get runes. So it was pretty disappointing to say the least. I will be comparing my results to another player who had a much bigger sample size. So also stick around for that part of the video. But as you can see here, I'm up to 20 grey runes, which is just really abysmal. And yeah, my luck just doesn't get any better and it's really frustrating. So you can see that here, after I got the first 30 runes, they were all unbound. I actually started to get bound runes. So there's a few conclusions which I can draw from this test. The first one is that it is in fact 30 unbound runes which you get in the week. So I turned in the Abyssal turn-in 32 times and I got 32 runes. For the first 30 that I got, they were all unbound. So you can see they have this tradable symbol here. And for the next 2 runes I got, they were both bound. So what this means is that right now, if I farm any more runes during this week, they're all going to be bound. And it basically confirms that the first 30 that you get during a single week, you'll be able to trade and sell. And you just have to hope that you either get a rare or a legendary rune to sell for a decent amount of platinum, or actually use it yourself. It's up to you. But up to the first 30 that you get in the week, they're all going to be bound. And the only thing you can do with them is either equip them and use them, or use them for rune synthesis to upgrade to a higher level rune. The next conclusion I can make is, just like a few of you mentioned in my last video, is that the Abyssal Essence turn-in works just like the Monster Essence turn-in. So every time you turn in the Abyssal Essence, you get 40 BP. You can see here that because I've turned it in 32 times, I got 32 times 40, which works out to about 1 to 80 battle points, which is really good because now I'm already halfway through for this week, and the battle pass is actually going to expire in less than 3 days because we're going to have the new battle pass. But this is really nice that I was able to get halfway through, and now I'm kind of going to be chilling a bit. And unfortunately, we won't be able to do the strategy because they basically stopped us from being able to stash Abyssal Essence. So this isn't really a strategy that I'm going to be able to pull off in the future. But at least it's kind of nice that you do actually get quite a nice amount of battle points, not only from the Abyssal Essence turn-in, but also from the Battery turn-in. So you will be getting quite a lot of battle points doing one of these two new modes. So unlike battle points, the thing that you won't be getting a decent amount of, or at least decent ones of, is the runes. So you obviously do now get the normal gems, which is a really nice addition, like I said, but the main thing which you're supposed to get from these modes is runes, and unfortunately, from my results, you're not actually able to get any decent runes from this mode. So let's just put it into perspective. So basically, to get an Abyssal Essence, just a single Abyssal Essence, you either have to reach level 5 in Erebban, or get 1,000 points in the Abyssal Verge. That's kind of the minimum. And then if you do reach level 8, or say get a really good score in the Abyssal Verge, then there is a chance that you can get 2 Abyssal Essence. But this actually does make the time that you spend per run a lot higher. So I would say on average, the time to get 1 Abyssal Essence is roughly 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes. So this means that to farm 320 Abyssal Essence actually takes roughly 11 hours. So let's talk about what 11 hours of farming got me. Well, it got me 29 Grey Runes, which worked out to about 91% of all the Abyssal Essence turn-ins. It got me 2 Blue Runes, which worked out to about 6%. And it got me 1 single Yellow Rune, which works out to about 3% of all turn-ins. And I got 0 Legendary Runes. So what this means is that basically for 11 hours of work, I got 1 decent rune. On my server at least, and I think on many other servers, grey and blue runes are pretty much useless at this point. You can only kind of use them for rune synthesis just to get a bit of a better quality rune. But the 1 yellow rune I got, I guess the good thing is that it's tradable. So perhaps you could argue and say that, hey Mal, these are just the runes that you got from your Abyssal Essence turn-ins, and they've obviously buffed the Abyssal Verge and the Erebban, and you do get runes inside the actual modes from either opening chests or killing monsters. But this is not my experience. I really didn't get a decent amount of runes, and I'll be talking a bit more about that. You could also argue that this is a low sample size, and 32 turn-ins is just not high enough, and it will probably average out if you do a bit more turn-ins just to get a legendary rune or something. So I was kind of curious, and I was checking in the Diablo Immortal subreddit, and I actually saw that one player was actually pretty nice, that he collected all the data from 2,000 Abyssal Essence turn-in. That's just insane farm. So I want to give a huge credit to Doobie6373. I hope that I'm saying that correctly. This player basically did an insane farm of 2,000 turn-ins. There's actually a table that they shared which has all of the data for every single rune that they got. But I'm just going to be looking at the high-level data that they had. So they actually got 2,000 Abyssal Essence from farming in the Abyssal Verge. And the way they did that is that they did runs until they had a score of about 1,000. And if you didn't know, getting a score of 1,000 in the Abyssal Verge guarantees you a single Abyssal Essence. So once they got 1,000, they kind of ended their run. And this player said that in 1,200 runs of Abyssal Verge, they actually only got 20 grey runes and 2 blue runes as drops. So this means that you're basically getting 1 rune drop every 60 runs. This is honestly a joke, considering that they said that they buffed the drop rate of runes inside the modes. So if we just take a look at the overall stats of the actual Abyssal Essence turn-ins and compare them to mine. So from 200 turn-ins, this player got 172 grey runes, which works out to about 86% of turn-ins compared to my 91%. He got 19 blue runes, which works out to 9.5% of all the turn-ins compared to my 6%. And then he got 9 yellow runes, which is 4.5% of all turn-ins. I had 3%, so it's pretty similar, I would say. And then one thing which is consistent across both results is we both got 0 legendary runes. Isn't that insane that in 230 Abyssal Essence turn-ins, or 2,300 Abyssal Essence, we got 0 legendary runes? Like I said, there are benefits of farming this mode. You do get normal gems. You also do get a huge amount of XP, especially if you're playing the Erebban. I've already talked about that in another video. And you also do get a decent amount of battle points, which if you're looking to cap your battle pass, this might be one of the better ways to do it. But if you're looking to farm runes, these modes are just really poor. So before I move on, one thing which kind of struck my attention is the chance of getting a yellow rune. So if we look at the chance of getting a yellow rune from the turn-in, I had about 3% chance, and Doobie had about 4.5% chance. So this actually works out to be roughly the same as the chance of getting a 5-star of random quality in an Elder Rift. Because we both had 0 legendary runes, I would assume that the chance to get a legendary rune is actually very, very low. If we just take an assumption that it's the same chance as getting a 5 out of 5-star, a legendary gem, which is just speculation on my part, then that's actually 0.045%. And if we do the maths around this drop chance, we can say that to get a legendary rune, you'd have to do 2,200 turn-ins, or actually 22,000 Abyssal Essence, which is insane. So if we work around the same math that it takes 2 minutes to get 1 Abyssal Essence, this would mean that to get 22,000 Abyssal Essence, you'd need 44,000 minutes, which works out to be 733 hours or 31 days. So basically, you'd have to be farming for a month straight. Well, let's say that you're playing these 2 new modes for about 2 hours a day, which is pretty generous in my opinion. I'm not even playing them that much. Then basically, it would take you a whole year of grinding to basically reach the 733 hours, which would give you 1 legendary rune at the end of it. This is completely ridiculous, and I think that something definitely needs to change, and Blizzard needs to look at these 2 new modes again. So talking about changes or improvements which can be made, if we take a look at the Reddit thread, Doobie has actually suggested a couple of changes, which I'm going to quickly talk about. So these are mainly changes which are related to the Abyssal Verge. So they recommend for Blizzard to add more elites in every run. They also recommend for them to add a guaranteed 2 essence for a 2,000 score. So we already have a guaranteed 1 for 1,000 score. Why not have 2 essence? They also suggested about having increased rewards for higher scores. I guess that means both runes and legendary items. That's definitely a great suggestion, because 1 rune drop every 60 runs is way too low. And we also need better odds of getting blue runes, yellow runes, and legendary runes from the Abyssal Essence turn-in my opinion. So let's move on to talk about suggestions of improvements for Erebban. Because I usually play Erebban, I can kind of give my opinion on this. Just like with the Abyssal Verge suggestion about getting 2 guaranteed Abyssal Essence for a 2,000 score, I think that when you reach level 8 in Erebban, you should always get a guaranteed 2 Abyssal Essence there. The other thing is that it's really painful to run in a group in Erebban. The progression goes up way too slow. So if you're actually in a party of 3 or 4, it's actually pretty impossible to reach level 8. So I think that they should kind of rework this a bit so that the progression goes up a little bit faster, or at least increase the number of chests. So usually if you're playing a group, there's just not enough chests to open. Even if you open everything that you see, the progression just isn't going up fast enough. Other than that, I would say that the same things apply to Erebban as they do for Abyssal Verge, in terms of if you go for a really crazy run where you're going for a really high level, you should get better rewards in terms of the legendary items that you get, but also in terms of the rune drops. Maybe when you finish either of these 2 new modes, on the splash screen that says victory or whatever it says, you should also get rune drops on this screen, not just the 2 Abyssal Essence. I think that screen itself kind of needs a rework. It looks really clunky and doesn't look great, especially if you've made a really crazy run. All of your blue items and also Abyssal Essence are kind of showing off screen, which is really annoying. I think that they should just make it a bit more concise, just to show your actual rewards. So it should be Abyssal Essence, runes, and then a decent amount of legendary items if you're going for a really high score. So currently when you do an Abyssal Essence turn-in, it's pretty clear with odds of about 85 to 90% that you're going to get a grey rune. But just how worthless are grey runes? Well, if we take a look at rune smithing, here we can see that to move from one rune to the next, so let's say we want to create an NOU rune, I would need 3 AUD runes, which is the previous level. And this kind of pattern continues for blue runes and also for yellow runes. It only kind of changes when you get to the legendary runes. You can see that here for this rune, you'd need 2 of the previous level, which would be 2 of the LAZ runes. So the question then becomes, if you want to create the highest level rune, which is currently LEV rune. We're going to have new runes in 35 days, but it's currently LEV rune. Just how many of these white runes, let's say the lowest tier, which is the AUD rune, do you need? Well, Doobie has actually made a table calculating just how many runes you would need, and it's actually pretty outstanding that the number comes out to about 56 billion of the AUD runes to create one LEV rune. Now, to put that into perspective, to get a rank 10 normal gem, you'd need 19.7 thousand rank 1 gems. Granted, it isn't exactly the same comparison, but still, to get 56 billion white runes, that's just completely unrealistic for any player, even if you're a whale. That's why I really think they should really rework the odds of this Abyssal Essence turn-in and not let it reward us with grey runes at such a high percentage. That's about everything that I wanted to share in this video, guys. Once again, I want to give a huge thanks to Doobie for compiling all of the information and also for creating the Reddit threads and tagging the community manager. I also wanted to do my part and share this information on YouTube, so I really hope that Blizzard does step in and make a change. For now, I'm going to be signing off. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. Peace.